ones are so long, most people don't go to intervals. They just like, it's 3 hours and you rock up, maybe half an hour. Most people do. Most people do.
I think we should start.
It's a good idea.
And we'll finish with it.
Whatever, yeah. My partner's going to come with a baby at some point. She's around the corner, so yeah.
Wow, revelation.
Don't finish too early, otherwise it might have gone by the time she gets here.
No, the baby can give the sermon. Might be more coherent. Neither have I. I've never met the partner. This is all like shrouded in mystery and Mount Sinai and mystery and smoke and matches your eyes. My favorite shirt, which you've no doubt seen, which I've worn, is a dark green overshirt, solid color, sort of a chamois cloth. Sarah found it in the East End for £3. And I can hardly wear it anymore because it's just so
laying it down carefully on that.
I still have it, but it's my favorite of all time.
Meanwhile, you have to be hit
just
by the crowd.
recycling and it's a charity.
Look, I don't know, look to me like
Well, that's so nice.
but it's your eyes.
Thank you for the support.
Great.
Maureen.
Yes.
How would you like to do everything?
I was waiting for it. He's got a
Okay. Right, we've got a huge congregation today, which means we can each take up 2 rows and lie down and feel a sense of business class. Oh, yeah. Make yourselves comfortable. There's a lot of hay fever this morning, so you're not alone if you're suffering. I've got like this divided congregation.
We're waiting for the latecomers.
Well, let's go over here.
It's like there's this Mason Dixon.
I will jump up and spring into action.
For that, like this kind of weird, we need a monitor so we can see each other.
No, I
I
don't.
mean, you don't have to sit next to each
I
other.
don't like the front row.
Yes, right out.
How much? Did we go to the 1 and 6? 1 and 6. 2 and 9.
I like to put my book on. Here we are.
Good. Well, thank you for being here. And I believe we all start on page 437, 437. And if you're not too tired, feel free to stand. Where your glory dwells. Humbly I worship before my God and Maker. May my prayer be acceptable to you, eternal God. In your great kindness, answer me with your saving truth. And let's be seated. My heart is ready, O God, my heart is ready. I will sing. I will sing praises. Awake, O my soul, awake, O harp and lyre. I will arouse the dawn. I will give thanks to you, O God, among the peoples, and sing your praises among the nations. For your love is high as the heavens. Your faithfulness reaches to the clouds. And let's turn over to page 444. And I believe we will actually be reading the entire book of Ruth later. So I propose that we not do this bit.
Good idea.
Yeah. And let's turn over to page 453 for Hariu. Turn over to page 456 and please Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. And let's be seated. We praise you, eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light, creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it, and in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of light. Ahava Rabbah Ahavtanu Adonai Eloheinu Chemla Gedola V'Teiracham Al Ta'aleinu Inu Malkeinu Avor Avotenu Shebatchu B'cha Vatlamdein Chukei Chayim Ken Tifonenu V'Tlamdeinu V'ten Glivenu Lavinu L'Haskil Shmoa Lilmod Ulamed Lishmor V'La'asot L'Kayem Kol Divrei Toratacha V'Hava Ha'ereinu b'Toratacha, v'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha, v'ched levabeinu lahava u'yira et shemecha, kivanu v'acharta yachedecha v'hava, Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael v'hava. Please stand. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. b'chol levavcha, u'b'chol nafshecha, u'b'chol me'odecha, v'hayu advarim ha'ele, asher Elohim etzavcha hayom, al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'divartam bam, v'shivtecha b'beitecha, u'vlevtecha b'derech, u'shoftecha u'vkumecha, u'kshartam le'otam li'adecha, v'hayu letotafot bein einecha, u'vtartam bal mezuzot beitecha, u'visharecha. Please be seated. Sound, established, and enduring are these words, now and forever. The everlasting God is our sovereign. The rock of Jacob is the shield of our salvation. Eternal God, you redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. And then with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Sang your name at the shore of the sea. With one accord, they gave thanks and proclaimed your sovereignty. Eternal God, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Elohei Gadol, Hagibor Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei Hakol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'ima'ot, U'mevi Geulah Livnei B'neihem, L'ma'an Shemo V'yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Abraham Ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, V'chaim Eitim Atah Rav L'Hoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'morid HaGeshem, Mazriach HaShemesh U'morid HaTal, Mechakel Chaim B'chesed, Mechayim Eitim B'rachamim Ramim, Somef Noflim V'rofech Olim, U'matir Asurim, U'mkayim Emunato L'shenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Gevurot, Umi Domelach, Melech Meimit U'mchaye U'matzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Chayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechaye HaMeitim. We revere and sanctify you, even as in the prophet's vision the seraphim sanctified you in the temple. As it is written, they call to one another and proclaim.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz Kedoshyo, Melech haaretz Kedoshyo.
Adonai, Adonai, Moed Shimcha b'chol haaretz. Komohu yifen barachamim, v'yachon am hamyachadim. Shmo erev v'boker b'chol yom tamid pa'amayim b'hava. Shma omrim. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshiach, hu Yashmienu, barachamav shenit le'enei kol chai. Divrei kodshecha katuv le'mor. From generation to generation we will make known your greatness. To the end of time we will proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O our God, shall never depart from our lips. We praise you, eternal one, holy God. Please be seated. You have given us a special task among the peoples. In your love and favor you've sanctified us by your commandments, drawn us near to your service, and charged us to make known your great and holy name. In your love, eternal One, our God, you've given us feasts of joy and seasons of gladness. Among them, this festival of Shavuot, season of revelation, to unite us in worship and in remembrance of the Exodus from Egypt. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, Ya'aleh v'yavo v'yizacher zichronenu v'zichron kol amecha beit Yisrael lefanech v'tovah v'livracha v'chayim v'shalom b'yom Chag Shavuot Hazeh. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu, Bo l'tovah, this day remember us for well-being. Ufotenu vo livracha, bless us with your presence. Hoshienu vo l'chaim, grant us continued life. Grant, eternal God, that our observance of the festivals may bring us blessing, happiness, and joy. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. And grant, eternal God, that the happiness of the festivals may be with us always. We praise you, O God, you hallowed Israel and the festivals. Would say Adonai Eloheinu v'Amacha Yisrael, Utfilatam b'hava tekabel, U'ti ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael anecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Shotecha levadcha b'yirah. We give thanks that you, eternal one, our God, as you were the God of our ancestors. You're the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, Barucheinu b'bracha hamshuleshet haktuva b'Torah, v'berechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Can you hear us? Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. Can you hear us? Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Aleinu v'yol kol Yisrael amecha. Barucheinu avinu, kulanu k'echad v'or panecha. Ki v'or panecha natat lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Torat chayim, v'havat chesed, v'tzedakah uvracha v'rachamim v'chayim v'shalom. V'tov beinecha levarecha amecha Yisrael lekol ha'amecha. Chol eitu v'chol sha'av yishlorecha. Baruch atah. Osei Shalom. Hallelujah. Give praise, O servants of the Eternal One.
Praise the name of the Eternal One.
That God's name be praised now and forever.
From the rising of the sun to its setting, let God be praised.
Exalted above the nations is Israel's God.
Whose glory is above the heavens.
Who can be compared to our God who's enthroned on high?
And yet looks down on heaven and earth.
Who raises the poor from the dust
Lifts up the needy from the gutter.
to give them a place among the great.
Among the kings of the people. Hallelujah.
Please turn over the page. Not to us, but to your name, Eternal One, let glory be given for your constant love and truth.
Why should the nations ask, where is their God? When our God is on high, God's will prevails.
Their idols are silver and gold.
The work of human hands.
They have mouths but cannot speak, eyes but cannot see.
They have ears but cannot hear, noses but cannot smell.
They have hands but cannot touch, feet but cannot walk. No sound comes from their throats.
Those who make them and all who trust them become like them.
O Israel, trust in the Eternal One, your help and your shield.
O house of Aaron, trust in the Eternal One, your help and your shield.
O God-fearing people, trust in the Eternal One, your help and your shield.
God will remember us and bless us. Bless the house of Aaron, bless the house of Israel. Bless all God-fearing people, both small and great.
May God increase your numbers, yours and your children's.
May you be blessed by the Eternal One, maker of heaven and earth.
The heavens belong to God.
And the earth God has given to humankind.
The dead cannot praise God, nor any who descend into silence.
That we will praise God now and forever. Hallelujah.
Let's turn over the page to 474. distress, I cried out to God.
Answer me and set me free.
God is with me, I'm not afraid.
Only mortals do to me.
God is my help.
I can face any foe.
It is better to take refuge in God than to rely on human beings.
It's better to take refuge in God than to rely on those in power.
God is my strength and my shield.
And has become my salvation.
Hear glad songs of triumph in the tents of the righteous.
The Eternal One does mighty deeds.
God's power is supreme.
The
The
Eternal One does mighty
I
deeds.
shall not die but live.
The Eternal One does deeds.
Open for me the gates of righteousness.
Let me enter them with your thanks, O God.
This is the gate of the eternal.
The righteous shall enter.
Blessed are you who come in God's name.
Here in God's house may you be blessed.
You are my God, and I thank you.
You are my God, I exalt you.
Turn over to page 497 for Torah service Kriyat Torah L'Chagim. In days to come, the mountain of God's house shall be established as the highest mountain, towering above the hills, and all the nations shall stream to it. Many peoples will go and say, "Come, let us go up to the mountain of the Eternal One, to the house of God of Jacob, so that we may learn God's ways and walk in God's
Case is undone.
O house of Israel, come, let us walk by the light of the Eternal One. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Eternal One is our God, the Eternal God is let us magnify the Eternal One. Together, let us exalt God's name. Well, it is traditional on Shavuot to read the Ten Commandments, and you'll find the text on page 536 of your prayer books. This is the Deuteronomy version, which we shall be reading. And we also have a custom in our community, going back just a few years, that we share the reading. And that anybody who hasn't had a bar or bat mitzvah and would like to be officially bar or bat mitzvah, all you have to do is read one of the commandments. And I'd be pleased if you wish to read it from the scroll, or from your prayer book in Hebrew, or from your prayer book in English. All dispensations granted. So there are, Lindsay's just gone out of the room, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Everybody's going to do one.
And Lindsay might come back.
Yeah. Because this is something that is treasured by all the Abrahamic faiths, and so I think we should each do one. I suppose since there are 9, maybe I could do the beginning and the end, I suppose. I'll do the peticha and the chatima, the opening and the signature, to use the technical terms. So let's all read the brachot together. Baruch hu et Adonai hamorach. Baruch Adonai hamorach leolam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'torah. And I'll do the first one. Anochi Adonai Elohecha Asher hotzeiti me'eretz Mitzrayim mi'beit avadim. Okay. And number 2's quite a long one. Let's see. Maury,
I don't mind in English.
please, you're looking right at me so directly. You are our bat mitzvah this morning.
Okay. You shall have no other gods beside me. You shall not make for yourself a sculptured image in the form of anything in the heavens above or on the earth below, or in the waters under the earth. You shall not worship them or serve them, for I, the Eternal One, am your God. As I am the Eternal One, your God, am a zealous God, inflicting the consequences of the sins of parents on their children, down to the 3rd and 4th generations of those who reject me, but showing steadfast love to the 1000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments.
Thank you, very good. Okay, we'll go counterclockwise. So Hefzibah.
You shall not swear falsely by the name of the Eternal One your God, for the Eternal One does not hold guiltless one who swears falsely by the divine name.
Joseph.
שמוע את יום השבת הקודשו, כאשר ציווה אדוני אלוהיך, ששת ימים תעבוד ועשית כל מלאכתך, ביום השביעי שבת אדוני אלוהיך, ולא תעשה כל מלאכה, אתה ובנך ובתך, ועבדך ואמתך, צורך וחמורך וכל בחמתך, וגאך אשר בשדך למען ינוח עבדך ואמתך כמוך. וזכרת כי עבד היית בארץ מצרים, וזכר אדוני אלוהיך משם ביד חזקה בזרוע נטויה, על כן ציווה אדוני אלוהיך לעשות את יום השבת.
Thank you very much. Felicity.
Honor your father and your mother, as the Eternal One your God has commanded you, that you may long endure, and that it may go well with you in the land which the Eternal One your God is giving you.
Okay. Lindsay.
לא תרצח.
Daniel.
ולא
Tinaf. Okay. Velo tinaf. Okay. Let's see. I've got 1, 2. Do the next 2 because they are brief.
You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbour.
Okay, and Adrian, the final one.
Okay. ולא תחמוד אשר רעך, ולא תתאווה בית רעך. שדהו ועבדו ועמיתו, שורה וחמורו, וכל אשר לרעך.
Okay, thank you. And let's do the bracha at the end together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai notein ha'torah. Okay, do we have a lifter? Please be seated, everybody. And now for the highlight of our morning, Lindsay and Ruth.
You are too kind.
Put it on the right side here.
Well, obviously we're reading the book of Ruth today, and here it is. Here we are. Okay. Which is on page 1419, 1419 of the JPSA Tanakh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bacha b'nevi'im tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai bocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo v'Yisrael amo b'nevi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. In the days when the chieftains ruled, there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah, with his wife and 2 sons, went to reside in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech, his wife's name was Naomi, and his 2 sons were named Machlon and Chilion, Ephratites of Bethlehem in Judah. They came to the country of Moab and remained there. Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth, and they lived there about 10 years. Then those 2, Machlon and Chilion, also died. So the woman was left without her 2 sons and without her husband. She started out with her daughters-in-law to return from the country of Moab, for in the country of Moab she had heard that the Lord had taken note of his people and given them food. Accompanied by her 2 daughters-in-law, she left the place where she had been living, and they set out on the road back to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Turn back, each of you, to her mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead and with me. May the Lord grant that each of you find security in the house of a husband." And she kissed them farewell. They broke into weeping and said to her, "No, we will return with you to your people." But Naomi replied, "Turn back, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Have I any more sons in my body who might be husbands for you? Turn back, my daughters, for I am too old to be married. Even if I thought there was hope for me, even if I were married tonight and I also bore sons, should you wait for them to grow up? Should you on their account debar yourself from marriage? Oh no, my daughters, my lot is far more bitter than yours, for the hand of the Lord has struck out against me." They broke into weeping again, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law farewell, but Ruth clung to her. So she said, "See, your sister-in-law has returned to her people and her gods. Go, follow your sister-in-law." But Ruth replied, "Do not urge me to leave you, to turn back and not follow you. For wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you lodge, I will lodge. Your people shall be my people, and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. Thus and more may the Lord do to me, if anything but death parts me from you." When Naomi saw how determined she was to go with her, she ceased to argue with her, and the 2 went on until they reached Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole city buzzed with excitement over them. The women said, "Can this be Naomi?" "Do not call me Naomi," she replied. "Call me Mara, for Shaddai has made my lot very bitter. I went away full, and the Lord has brought me back empty. How can you call me Naomi when the Lord has dealt harshly with me, when Shaddai has brought misfortune upon me?" Thus Naomi returned from the country of Moab. She returned with her daughter-in-law Ruth the Moabite. They arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Excuse me. Now Naomi had a kinsman on her husband's side, a man of substance, of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, I would like to go to the fields and glean among the ears of grain, behind someone who may show me kindness. Yes, daughter, go, she replied, and off she went. She came and gleaned in a field behind the reapers, and as luck would have it, it was the piece of land belonging to Boaz, who was of Elimelech's family. Presently Boaz arrived from Bethlehem. He greeted the reapers, The Lord be with you. And they responded, The Lord bless you. Boaz said to the servant who was in charge of the reapers, Whose girl is that? The servant in charge of the reapers replied, She is a Moabite girl who came back with Naomi from the country of Moab. She said, Please let me glean and gather among the sheaves behind the reapers. She has been on her feet ever since she came this morning. She has rested but little in the hut. Boaz said to Ruth, Listen to me, daughter. Don't go to glean in another field. Don't go elsewhere, but stay here close to my girls. Keep your eyes on the fields they are reaping and follow them. I have ordered the men not to molest you. And when you are thirsty, go to the jars and drink some of the water that the men have drawn. She prostrated herself with her face to the ground and said to him, Why are you so kind as to single me out when I am a foreigner? Boaz said in reply, I have been told of all that you did for your mother-in-law after the death of your husband, how you left your father and mother and the land of your birth, and came to a people you had not known before. May the Lord reward your deeds. May you have a full recompense from the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have sought refuge. She answered, You are most kind, my Lord, to comfort me and to speak gently to your maidservant, though I am not so much as one of your maidservants. At mealtime, Boaz said to her, Come over here and partake of the meal, and dip your morsel in the vinegar. So she sat down beside the reapers. He handed her roasted grain, and she ate her fill and had some left over. When she got up again to glean, Boaz gave orders to his workers, You are not only to let her glean among the sheaves without interference, but you must also pull some stalks out of the heaps and leave them for her to glean and not scold her. She gleaned in the field until evening. Then she beat out what she had gleaned, it was about an ephah of barley, and carried it back with her to the town. When her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, and when she also took out and gave her what she had left over after eating her fill, her mother-in-law asked you, Where did you glean today? Where did you work? Blessed be he who took such generous notice of you. So she told her mother-in-law whom she had worked with, saying, The name of the man with whom I work today is Boaz. Naomi said to her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of the Lord who has not failed in his kindness to the living or to the dead. Naomi explained to her daughter-in-law, The man is related to us. He is one of our redeeming kinsmen. Ruth the Moabite said, He even told me, Stay close by my workers until all my harvest is finished. And Naomi answered her daughter-in-law Ruth, It is best, daughter, that you go out with his girls and not be annoyed in some other field. So she stayed close to the maidservants of Boaz and gleaned until the barley harvest and the wheat harvest were finished. Then she stayed at home with her mother-in-law. Naomi, her mother-in-law, said to her, Daughter, I must seek a home for you where you may be happy. Now, there is our kinsman Boaz, whose girls you were close to. He will be winnowing barley on the threshing floor tonight. So bathe, anoint yourself, dress up, and go down to the threshing floor. But do not disclose yourself to the man until he has finished eating and drinking. When he lies down, note the place where he lies down, and go over and uncover his feet and lie down. He will tell you what you are to do. She replied, I will do everything you tell me. She went down to the threshing floor and did just as her mother-in-law had instructed her. Boaz ate and drank, and in a cheerful mood went to lie down beside the grain pile. Then she went over stealthily and uncovered his feet and lay down. In the middle of the night, the man gave a start and pulled back. There was a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" she asked. "And I am your handmaid Ruth," she replied. "Spread your robe over your handmaid, for you are a redeeming kinsman." He exclaimed, "Be blessed of the Lord, daughter. Your latest deed of loyalty is greater than the first, in that you have not turned to younger men, whether poor or rich. And now, daughter, have no fear. I will do in your behalf whatever you ask, for all the elders of my town know what a fine woman you are. But while it is true I am a redeeming kinsman, there is another redeemer closer than I. Stay for the night. Then in the morning, if he will act as a redeemer, good, let him redeem. But if he does not want to act as a redeemer for you, I will do so myself, as the Lord lives. Lie down until morning." So she lay at his feet until dawn. She rose before one person could distinguish another, for he thought, "Let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor." And he said, "Hold out the shawl you are wearing." She held it while he measured out 6 measures of barley, and he put it on her back. When she got back to the town, she came to her mother-in-law, who asked, "How is it with you, daughter?" She told her all that the man had done for her, and she added, "He gave me these 6 measures of barley, saying to me, 'Do not go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" And Naomi said, "Stay here, daughter, till you learn how the matter turns out, for the man will not rest, but will settle the matter today." Meanwhile, Boaz had gone to the gate and sat down there. And now the Redeemer whom Boaz had mentioned passed by. He called, "Come and sit down over here, so-and-so." He came over and sat down. Then Boaz took 10 elders of the town and said, "Be seated here," and they sat down. He said to the Redeemer, "Naomi, now returned from the country of Moab, must sell the piece of land which belonged to our kinsman Elimelech. I thought I should disclose the matter to you and say, acquire it in the presence of those seated here, and in the presence of the elders of my people. If you are willing to redeem it, redeem. But if you will not redeem, tell me that I may know. For there is no one to redeem it but you, and I come after you." "I am willing to redeem it," he replied. Boaz continued, "When you acquire the property from Naomi and from Ruth the Moabite, you must also acquire the wife of the deceased, so as to perpetuate the name of the deceased upon his estate." The Redeemer replied, "Then I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I impair my own estate. You take over my right of redemption, for I am unable to exercise it." Now this was formerly done in Israel in cases of redemption or exchange. To validate any transaction, one man would take off his sandal and hand it to the other. Such was the practice in Israel. So when the Redeemer said to Boaz, "Acquire for yourself," he drew off his sandal. And Boaz said to the elders and to the rest of the people, "You are witnesses today that I am acquiring from Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chilion and Mahlon. I am also acquiring Ruth the Moabite, the wife of Mahlon, as my wife, so as to perpetuate the name of the deceased upon his estate, that the name of the deceased may not disappear from among his kinsmen and from the gate of his hometown. You are witnesses today." All the people at the gate and the elders answered, "We are. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into your house like Rachel and Leah, both of whom built up the house of Israel. Proffer in Ephratah and perpetuate your name in Bethlehem. And may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah, through the offspring which the Lord will give you by this young woman." So Boaz married Ruth, she became his wife, and he cohabited with her. The Lord let her conceive, and she bore a son. And the women said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not withheld a redeemer from you today. May his name be perpetuated in Israel. He will renew your life and sustain your old age. For he is born of your daughter-in-law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons." Naomi took the child and held it to her bosom, She became its foster mother, and the women neighbors gave him a name, saying, "A son is born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, father of David. This is the line of Perez. Perez begot Hezron. Hezron begot Ram. Ram begot Aminadab. Aminadab begot Nachshon. Nachshon begot Salmon. Salmon begot Boaz. Boaz begot Obed. Obed begot Jesse. And Jesse begot David. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olami, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer v'oseh, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה, ועל הנביאים ועל יום השם. Sorry, I'm in the wrong place. Oh, sorry.
Just start Yom,
על התורה, על העבודה, ועל הנביאים, ועל יום חג השבועות הזה, שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך לפי כל חי, תמיד בעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחדש ישראל ועל זמנים.
Very, very good.
Very, very long.
But no shoelace is safe. I can see that. Right, we're at the foot of page 500. And do we have a volunteer to read about the royal family?
Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our sovereign lady, Queen Elizabeth, and all the royal family, for those who govern our country, and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility, and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
Okay. And the prayer for the community? Daniel.
Eternal God, as you bless our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and its members and all who enter the synagogue to meet, to study and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts amongst us and heal those in anxiety or pain. May we find here community and friendship, renewal of purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all congregants of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rules soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will.
Thank you. And for the state of Israel?
Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice. May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbours, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, Ki Niskav Shemo Levado. Let us praise the Eternal One, whose name alone is exalted.
Israel, conqueror.
understanding, for its fruits are better than silver, its yield than fine gold. It is more precious than rubies, and no treasure can compare with it. Behold, a good doctrine has been given you. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, but all its paths quite brief this morning because I think the real highlight is the reading of the book of Ruth. And as we discussed last night at our Tikkun, Ruth is a courageous person. We know that. She's also what we might call a border crosser. And borders, particularly ones like the Jordan River, are ethnic and today national boundaries. And nowadays, with all the tensions in the area, political, economic, and all the rest of it, nationalistic, those borders are very loaded places emotionally and politically. So in those days, long, long time ago, it was the border between Israel and Moab. And they were horrible enemies. The Moabites were fierce fighters. They committed the sin of not giving hospitality to the Bnei Israel, who were trekking through their land on their way to the Promised Land. And moreover, the Moabite women were let's say, rather licentious and after those nice Bnei Israel, those nice Jewish boys. And indeed, in the story, we have a couple of boys that wander off to Moab, and well, what happens to them? You know, they die, they suffer. But interestingly, it's the woman, the female, who is the one who crosses the boundary. So it's a place of crossing rather than a place of total separation. And that's what's really interesting to me. Adrian and Lindsay, did I leave anything out of that side of the argument? No. Okay, very good. So next time you're crossing the Jordan River or near it, think about Ruth and think about her courage.
But the family would have crossed on their way to Moab. They would have crossed in the other direction.
I'm not with you.
Beforehand.
Yeah, beforehand. Naomi and Elimelech and Mahlon.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have had to cross the river.
Right.
I suppose into a land that did give them help. I mean, they might not have helped in the desert. But
Absolutely.
They did offer
Absolutely.
help.
So that's an interesting argument. So maybe that's a way that we should look at this idea of not receiving hospitality in a more nuanced way, rather than just as a blanket condemnation. Nice. I haven't heard that one before. Excellent.
I mean, every year when I hear Ruth, I get something different from it. What struck me this morning, Kristen's work, was the absolute sense of kindness that comes
Yeah, but what struck me this morning was that Boaz's men are obviously in the habit of molesting the young gleaners.
Indeed.
Yes, but he would tell them, don't molest her.
He's the boss.
The other ones, you do what you like.
He's the boss. Yeah, very interesting. So crossing borders. Let's come back to that a moment. And how Ruth is very much the exception. She's the Moabitess who, in a sense, is capable of becoming one of us, one of the tribe. And why is it in the canon is because one of the theories is that it's very much in opposition to some of the more rigid, more tribal prophets. So in the redaction of the text, we see these tensions coming into play. So it was a very wise editorial committee, at least at some points. But let's come back. Ruth is in a way very much the exception. Over our long history, the tribal sense has been really what has been around. In some ways that's been good, that's kept us together in the face of persecution, and we spoke about that last night as one of the positive aspects of narcissism, that is the feeling that one is special somehow, born from receiving lots of suffering. So it's a kind of compensation for persecution. And so you think that you're special and that keeps you together. That's great. But it also very much narrows one's worldview. And we talk about ghettoization. So one's strength can also be one's weakness at the same time. Yeah?
And Naomi had no objection, presumably, of one of her sons marrying a woman. So that means that they were open to the suit of him anyway.
Well,
and doesn't that illustrate that he should walk among people into?
I mean, we don't know what her feelings were, but we don't know. But the fact is, they did, and the point was made last night that they probably weren't alone. There are probably a lot of men wandering off. Yeah. And indeed, the great biblical commentator Rachel Haverlock, she defines, interestingly enough, Ruth as the first shiksa. So that's really quite funny. But I'm sure she was not alone. This is a phenomenon. So the story is symbolic. Yeah, it's the symbolic value. So let's turn to the Ten Commandments. What's the connection? The Ten Commandments is a recognition that doing evil, assuming that we can define such a word, is a human problem. Well, that may seem totally obvious, but some of the reasons it looks to are things like disobedience, envy, too much desire, and stuff like that. What seems to be ignored, in my view, is coming back to the question of borders and tribes and all the rest of it, is the question of trauma and humiliation. And our understanding has gone much further. So we talk about, at times in my more depressed moments, I speak of the world as being a festering cesspool of pathology, of bottomless evil. And what's that all about? Is about unhealed trauma. And so often, even the most extreme examples of evil, of killing, murder, genocide, is born out of the perpetrators themselves feeling as victims. And here we have the narcissism, when contained, is actually something healthy, just billows all over the place. And becomes, and one persecutes out of a sense of necessity for one's own physical and psychical survival. And we can explain to some extent, not all the way, there's no such thing as easy explanations, but we can understand to some extent what the Nazis did and what people who are horribly abused, there's no intercession, and the abused become the abusers. So I think if I had to critique the Ten Commandments in one way, that would be, but you know, Freud only was born in the late 19th century. And I think the Ten Commandments is the attempt to, without a full, let's say, psychoanalytic understanding, at least explicitly, is the attempt to contain human behavior. And the reason why those things are expressed over and over and over and over again, because without understanding, without containment, the world is a bottomless pit. And so, as liberal Jews, we take those understandings and we seek to enlarge upon them. So, incorporating Freud and the later stuff is a perfectly valid activity. And the next generations will add their own understandings, and they may well be superior on own. So, boundary crossing, let's come back to it. Because one of the problems also with the Ten Commandments is it's quite tribal in nature. And those of us who go by the adage that, you know, people are people, there are universals of goodness and badness, we believe in being more open. So and that we're not necessarily superior, we're amongst equals. So that's another way of maybe poking away at the Ten Commandments. So as liberal Jews, we seek to universalize that stuff. That's a real challenge nowadays. So I leave you with that challenge. I leave you with the challenge of Ruth, the border crosser, the one who's a widow, who's traumatized, who's vulnerable, but nonetheless chooses generosity, and she finds kindness. She's lucky. She sets the example in making relationships. So cross borders, make relationships. Don't cling inside to the narcissism, which can easily go for the worse.
We've been singing a Shavuos song, which comes out of the Yiddish secular day school movement of the first half of the 20th century, which is I think very interesting. A movement that really flourished, and just at the same time that Zionists were rewriting Judaism to make it a Palestine-centered national movement, lifestyle, whatever, the Yiddish Day School were refashioning Judaism to make it a diaspora-focused, socialist, people, folk religion, or folk culture. Shavuos wasn't one of their top festivals, just as in Zionism, Hanukkah and Purim were much more popular, although they also had festivals such as May Day and the anniversary of the Russian Revolution, also popular festivals. But this is a rare Shavuos song from that collection by someone called Aaron Bromberg, and it mostly focuses on Moses as liberator, which was common to that movement. They kind of focus on individual human acts of heroism rather than divine, but it does reference God. And I'll just give the translation before we start. At Sinai, in ancient Sinai, lies an ancient treasure, the mountain in smoke and fire. At the mountain, smoke and fire, Moses calls out from the heights. All the people together see Moses rise in smoke and flame. Our teacher, our liberator, tell us, what do you see in the fire? My children, don't be afraid. I bring from Sinai the Torah that God gave to Moses, our Torah, eternal life.
Oh
So let's turn over to page 520 and please rise for the reading. Haleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, latet gedula v'yotzer b'reshit, asher sam chakenu li'akved et shamo, v'kor haleinu l'hamlik, amal u'tma. Teshamayim v'yoseh aretz, Moshav yikaro b'shamayim ima'al, U'shchinat zizod v'gavheim Hu Eloheinu Emet malkeinu efes ulata, Kakatu b'torata. Excuse me. Yadata hayom v'hashevota ele v'dacha, Ki Adonai Elohim b'shamayim ima'al, V'aretz v'tachat ein od. Trusting in you, eternal God, we hope soon to behold the glory of your might, when false gods will vanish from our hearts and idolatry cease forever. Help us to perfect the world by bringing it under your challenge rule, when all will invoke your name, relinquish evil, and turn to you alone. May all who dwell on earth come to know that to you every knee must bend and every tongue swear loyalty. Before you let them humble themselves, and to your glorious name let them give honor. Let all submit to your sovereign rule. May that time come soon and last forever. For ultimate sovereignty is yours, and to all eternity you will reign in glory. As it is written, the Eternal One shall reign forever. In their higher moments they themselves sought to live. We remember our loved ones now, for they remain in our hearts. They are a continual blessing. Yitkadal, Yitkadash, Shemei Rabbah, Ha'alma Divrach Urtei V'yanich Malchutei, V'chayechon V'yamechon, V'chayei B'chol Beit Yisrael, V'galav Izman Kari V'imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah V'vorach Le'olam V'lemein Amaya. Yitzbarak, Yishabak, Bitfar, Bitrahon, Vitase, Vitadar, Vitale, Vitalal, Shemei, Kudishah, Rechu, Ve'elam Mikol, Verchata, Vashirata, Tushmachata, Venechemata, Amen, B'oma, V'imru, Amen. Yehei Shlomo Rabbah Min Shemaya, V'chayim Aleim V'yol Kol Yisrael, V'imru, Amen. Oseh Shalom, V'imroha, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu V'yol Kol Yisrael, Yal Kol B'nei Adam, V'imru, Amen. Please be seated. Okay. Let's do that. Let's do that. Thank you. We're just ascertaining. They've got a little ways to go. They're still sermonizing. So Lindsay's going to bring up some cheese. So I was going to say, seriously, the question is on this Yom Tov, this Chag, what do we do with our pain? And Lindsay gave me the answer. Cheesecake. Right. So, Joseph.
I'm going to do Mipiel. 649. 649. It's more a themed song.
Joseph and Felicity.
649.
And if a young man wishes to contribute, he's most welcome.
She, yeah.
She!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mika, but the girl we did.
Wow, I misread the colors.
We're not in pink, really.
The young lady. Wow. Her name is Mika?
Yeah.
Oh, lovely. It's in Michal. Lovely. No wonder she was well behaved. She's a female. Oh, lovely. Okay.
Okay. We'll do the whole song if we've got time.
Okay.
Just like to announce that Friday night the Shabbat service is going to be at Adrian Green's house. So anybody interested in going, you either need to contact the office to get the details, the address, or you need to contact Kevin.
So we have a bracha for cakes and biscuits. Yeah. It's very easy. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei mizonot, the creator of many kinds of food.
Of course, if anybody wants to wait and go into the main Kiddush, of course, more than welcome, but they're probably quite away. This is David's cheesecake, by the way. He's the best cheesecake maker. Rabbi says so.
Sorry, who's the best cheesecake maker?
David.
David.
She often does. They're both Steve and Anita are both gallivanting somewhere.
Did you have a tough journey getting here?
No, didn't leave enough time.
Oh, because the Met line's screwed up today, I think.
Okay. It's us now because the 483 comes round the back.
Yeah, no, the Met line is messed up. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's okay.
Also, if I take because otherwise I go to zone 5. It's an additional tick. 60.
Hold it while you read.
Change.
It's a good reason to hang on to 60.
Okay, I'll put the stuff away.
I'm still tidying up. Oh gosh. Okay. It's a new list. Thank
No, I saw Kathy the other day.
I think you should have it, David. I've done all the hard work.
Yeah, so in the next few weeks we'll be moving in.
I won't say now. As it's a very small one.
Yeah,
I think that may be a recent pronouncement from Adrian.
Oh no, I think
Shouldn't I?
I know for you as well. So we've got it.
I did hear I must be distracted.
Yeah, crossing the border of West London, England.
You obviously don't
The property in Moab was
Yeah, we did on that.
It was.
Indeed.
Yes. So I was just sort of walking out. I guess you have the air going home rather than going anywhere else. And I said, this is what to live.
It sounds like we'll be here till the next
Painting and I was on Friday. Friday they gave us in the staff. Basically, particularly
more people doing. Yeah, even though you don't have time to what do as an architect, so once you start looking again, that sounds like good news for jobs.
Self-conversion, extensions,
Yeah.
3-bed semis.
Exactly, yeah.
So an indoor job was certainly in favour. She didn't react to see. Impressive. Did you drive here? lift?
No, I'm fine. We're going to wander back slowly. Thank
Fair
you.
enough, you're welcome. I didn't even think this morning that you might have wanted to. You might have wanted to there.
It's okay. It's all good.
No, I didn't. No,
It's all good.
she seems to be happy with the exam, so that seems a good sign.
It's always good.
But she is doing a very good. I did say to her if she ever wants to talk to me.
Yeah, it's very nice.
As a former senior engineer, she, later on, then
Got her head screwed on about it, and I
she
think
doesn't know what she's talking about.
with her skills,
There are very, very few of them around.
Well, the whole notion of
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
All
Simple.
cultural construction. It's all about fear,
So she seems
insecurity,
but
trauma.
initially she wasn't going to teach her GCSEs.
still can.
No, exactly. Her GCSEs,
Don't let me out. I won't let her off the ground.
No. Her GCSEs though meant that actually she could. There's nothing wrong with teaching. Please don't misunderstand.
I'm about to say that her GCSEs were better than it required for teaching.
Not that, but gave her other opportunities that should she then flow into teaching, she'll have a
The
broader
world
skill
is not
set.
as nice and
Yeah,
neat
she could do
as
something. Yeah, no, that's true. Southampton's meant to be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't know it terribly well. It seems to be a nice place. I don't know much about it. She's been and sussed it all out, no doubt.
yeah, I mean,
Well, that's
so
what
we
it is.
take
Yeah,
what's
I think it is.
useful and positive and the other stuff.
They're desperate at the moment. Yeah,
I
no,
want to become an engineer, well, she can't become an engineer.
no, she's
Where we feel necessary.
no, they're quite a lot.
It's still slow because
What is got sponsored by Surrey University
Yeah.
for the last 2 years at university. So there are opportunities like that around.
Yeah, talking about
They still do many aspects these days. She couldn't look back at them, they still do that. You are then bound by, so they are conditioned. Spend the summer holidays digging roads and stuff. There we go. So yeah, that's good. It's good, but but I'm sure Phil will be very happy to talk to her about anything. She's still vaguely in touch. She went to the paydays, she's one of these. She's a 3-minute
There's no trust in parents.
the oldest students, evidently, but she went to dinner.
Totally break down.
Went to dinner there, and
The parental investment.
they
There's
just
no reason.
because she was invited to the first ever female master. But she wasn't civil engineer, so she did. But she wasn't first ever for some accountants or bankers or finance type, one of those sorts, I know they get everywhere. But no, she had a nice
I was looking at the Tory candidates and working out how many of them have worked in the city in one way or another.
Not exactly. And then the next question, how many big dreams?
Not as many, I don't think.
Only 2 or 3. So
Yeah, but
I'd say that.
I just hope for the sake of the Tory party that Boris doesn't win.
Sadly, it is a bad news. Well, no, I
How can you honor?
if you do a
How
rebut,
can you feel part of society?
that's the only thing you can say. But whether the whole thing will fall apart, I don't know. But I don't have any time for him, I have to say.
Those are some of the people that lash out.
Oh yes, but no, he's no fool. He is very bright. Yeah,
I had a
we met him on the plane back from the Olympics.
Did you?
Yeah, he was on the plane. He was only travelling. I think he was. I think it was quite interesting the class distinctions of how they did it. So the gold medalist went first class.
Right. Why were you on the plane back from the Olympics? That's the next question.
We hadn't planned to be on the plane back. We were diverted in somewhere like. We were meant to be going towards Dubai or London, and they diverted us about 2,000 miles out of the way to near nothing. But then we did go back on the Olympic plane, which was quite nice. And as Boris said, we saw some of the Olympic girls when we got off the plane, they all lined up and had their photos done. It was like, you know, it was moderately exciting. So we were 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 hours late. That wasn't so good.
It depends what you had planned for that day.
It was working, but I probably did. No, I think it was just about alright. I think I was back at work the day after, so I was only, it wasn't quite so bad. But, right, I will love you and leave you and head back.
See you soon.
Yeah, I will. I'm not going to hang around for that. Get it.
No, nor am I.
Lie down in the garden.
It sounds weird to have like the biggest sites, so it's a quintet type of
We speak you.
You do cannons.
yeah, some of the
They
pieces.
hide under the bushes, and sometimes when it's really sunny, they're all playing around.
They do, but they dry rubbish into the garden as well.
They do.
You can get a beagle, get a dog.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they might fight with foxes and be
The
injured.
beagle will destroy them. A proper beagle. We have one next door, and if he gets out, he knows exactly where they are.
Well, maybe
His
you should get
name is
out.
His name is Bagel. Bagel the Beagle. Yeah. Oh, he's a character.
I don't know how it can go. My nephew yesterday said that London zoos sell pellets of lion stuff when you put it in, but that must stink actually.
It's probably dried out.
I don't know, I'm a bit desperate. There's so many of them. There's 5 little ones and then there's a pair.
What do your neighbours? Do your neighbours care?
But one of my neighbours throw stones at them, which I wouldn't do.
Oh gosh. Yeah, so then they come into your place.
Yeah, but I mean, that's cool. No. I thank you. There's one that's deaf now, just stands and looks at me. He thinks, why are they all running away?
Well, you need a trumpet to go, part time.
What you need is about 10 men with red coats and horses to come
Pictures of them.
traipsing across your garden.
Or get a
Jumping
scarecrow.
across the
Get
fence.
10 scarecrows looking like that.
With the scarecrows,
You could get a figurine of Jacob Rees-Mogg and put him in the garden. I think he's a fox hitter.
Let's hope they eat him. And on that glorious note,
Cheerio.
cheerio.
Maybe, but hopefully she's not. I think you probably know.
Have fun. Bye, sweetheart. Happy person.
Oh, I'm glad, because she's very tired.
Aww.
Don't drop your glasses, honey. Thank you.